What is up, disc golfers? Today on Iceberg TV, I'm really excited to do my overview of the Idlewild Open. This is one of my favorite courses that the pros will play on tour, not only because it's one of the most beautiful courses on tour, but it's also one of the most technical and the most challenging, and a lot of the holes are very tough holes in the woods, and it requires the players to throw backhands and forehands. Especially the forehand holes, you can take big numbers on if you can't execute throwing a straight forehand that goes forward through most of the flight and then dumps to the right at the end. If you can't throw a forehand straight consistently, you're really going to struggle on this course. So if we have a look at the field here, most notably, we have Paul McBeth in the field, which I know everybody's excited to see Paul in the field. We don't get to see him at every event at this current point in time, and that's probably because of all the foundation disc golf stuff. Him nursing that ankle still, making sure he's not overdoing it, and he wants to show up for certain events that he really wants to win. So we saw Paul win the DDO, and now will we see Paul win this event? I think so. I think Paul's going to come and he's going to execute, and he's going to be rested, and he's going to be in rhythm. He's already there practicing with Brodie, and he's been practicing with Hannah and Brodie and Hunter's been filming Brodie doing his first practice round, and now Hunter's filming Paul doing his practice round. So I'm really excited to see Paul's video. We do have Brodie's video pulled up here for today, and I want to go over that a little bit and just sort of talk about where I think Brodie's going to struggle the most, and I think where the top pros are going to separate themselves from those mid-tier players like him and really separate themselves from the rest of the field. So we're really excited to see what Ricky can do. Ricky's been on fire lately. Obviously, we can already say that Calvin Heimberg's probably going to take second place. I think he's solidified himself as the second place guy. Eagle's coming off a huge win. He could win this event as well, although he's not my top pick. Kevin Jones has also been playing really well. I think Kevin Jones and Adam Hamez are going to have surprisingly good performances. I think Kevin Jones is either going to come in first or second, and then I think Adam Hamez is going to come in between third and fifth. Now, my favorite to win is Paul, and it's going to be due to his putting. I think his putting is going to be really dialed in, and I think Paul is one of the craftiest putters on tour, and I think he's able to make putts that not a lot of other players are make, and he has the confidence to run a lot of these putts to these island greens that are very challenging, that punish players who aren't confident in their putting to knock those down. So let's move over to Brodie right now. We have Brodie playing his practice round here, and why is it not default to good quality? That doesn't make any sense. So I watched this whole practice round, and there's a recurring theme in this video is Brodie throws a lot of discs on each hole until he gets a good shot, and that's something Nate Sexton advises. Nate Sexton advises, during a practice round, you should throw every disc in your bag until you get a good shot, and Brodie's definitely doing that same methodology here. That's going to help you build the confidence to at least know what disc you think you should throw, and that's going to give you the confidence to hopefully hit the lines you're trying to hit. So we all know Brodie has a really hard time throwing his driver's forehand, and I think that's where he's going to get punished the most on this course. I think his putting is going to save him, but his backhand is really good. So Brodie's backhand and his putting is really solid, but his forehand just has a lot to be desired. It's still very nose up. It's still very wristy and very ultimate frisbee-like. I think he should start working on throwing his overstable discs. Like, he should learn to start throwing his machete and his most overstable Zeus's on Anheuser release, just to cut out the nose up. Every single one of these forehands was nose up. And he's throwing, 4 or 5 discs on each hole, and he's making, it's the same release every single time, pretty much. It's that same amount of nose up. The only difference between that one is he pretty much threw that one towards the ground and let the nose up kind of air bounce it straight. So that's not really a sustainable shot to throw a straight air bounce. That's just not really something that's recreatable. It's way too easy to turn that over to just throw it into the ground and wind up rolling into the woods. So Brodie's really struggling with his forehand with his driver still, so I really hope he's able to work that out. My advice to him would just be to commit to doing anything but nose up and just throwing machetes and raptors on Anheuser forehands, something that you can trust, so he can develop the confidence. at least forcing himself to throw nose down. So throwing more of that flex line like Nate Sexton would throw with his Firebirds. I think if Brodie adopted a forehand like that, I think that would at least give him the opportunity when he wants to throw hyzers, just throw nose up like he always does. But then he has that alternative shot where he throws more of a flex with something really overstable, something that gives him the confidence to really go nose down on it. So right there, that was a Sting, which is a really flippy fairway driver. So he threw that nose up as well, but it just turned left because it's an understable disc. So certain discs you can get away with doing it and they'll turn. That's an easier shot for Brodie than throwing a forehand hyzer that goes straight and then finishes right. He's a lot better throwing something understable on a little bit of hyzer nose up and letting it turn over. That's fine and dandy, but when you're trying to throw golf shots, it's not going to be the forehand shot that's going to get you birdies. It's more of a get out of trouble shot, and it replicates most of the same flight as just a normal backhand hyzer does. So Brodie has a good turnover forehand, but his forehand hyzer is still not where he wants it to be. And I know he already knows this, and I've talked about Brodie's forehand in the past and how it's his biggest weakness, but I'm still really excited to see Brodie playing in this tournament. And I think Kelsey is there, Brodie's wife. So I'm assuming Kelsey will hopefully be able to film him. I don't think they're allowed to have caddies yet at these big events, but I think in this case scenario, they should consider Kelsey like a film crew, because if they're gonna have Brodie at these events, like, he should be allowed to have a camera person follow him around and hold the camera. So then he doesn't have to be on, feature cards, or they don't have to like work him into the coverage. We can just expect to see it on his channel or Foundation Disc Golf's channel. But again, Brodie's backhand, his craftiness and his putting, I do think he's going to be able to put at least something close to 1,000 rated round. And I think the rest of his rounds will be just like that 960 to 985 range. If he shoots more than one round over 1,000 rated, I'll be super impressed, because this is a very hard course and every hole is demanding and it requires you to use almost every disc in your bag. And then there's even holes where you approach it and you feel like you don't have a disc at all that even works for that hole. And Brodie had that problem as well. He was like, wow, I never thought I have all these discs and I don't have the disc that I need. He was like, oh, I got a Paige Fierce in the car. He needed a really flippy putter for, I think it's hole 1. It's like this little hyzer flip up the middle. So hopefully we see Brodie execute all kinds of different shots, and then hopefully he can lean on the things that he's good at. Getting up and down with the scuba, making circle 1 putts, and then these turnover forehands he's really good at. It's when he needs to either force it on anhyzer with something stable or throw something stable nice and flat. He just keeps letting them go nose up or early, nose up and early. And I'm really excited to see what Brodie does. And I also want to do a video reflecting on Paul McBeth's practice round. We should see that come out either tonight or tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with that. I want to see how Paul's practice round goes versus Brodie's. I've seen some clips, they're on Facebook already, but ultimately, obviously, Paul's practice round is going to look a lot different from Brodie's, and Paul's played this course. He knows what kinds of shots he needs to throw, and Paul's notoriously good at these tough wooded courses because of his putting and his craftiness. So really looking forward to seeing Paul, fight for the win. Hopefully Eagle, I'd like to see Eagle win as well. So I'm really hoping one of those guys could come out and make a statement, and at least they can have a battle and push each other. But Kelvin Heimberg probably going to come in second or third. I'd love to see Kevin Jones win. He's been playing really well, but it's going to be a really exciting tournament. I can't stress this enough. Disc golf has been so exciting, and I think this has been one of the best seasons coverage-wise. The gap between how good players are getting is slowly narrowing. Players are catching up to Paul. Paul's not getting better as fast as the competition is getting better, and we're seeing closer and closer tournaments, and we're seeing Paul not dominate every tournament, and it's making disc golf extremely exciting and extremely watchable, and I can't wait to watch the coverage on this. If you want to become a patron, click the link in the description below. If you want to check out some Iceberg TV merch, the link is down there as well. Thank you for watching. This is Iceberg TV, and take care.